What's going on, boys and girls? It's that comic guy, Chris, and I'm truly at a loss of words today. Um, we've lost Stan Lee. We've lost one of the biggest icons ever in comics. I really I don't have the words to really express the level of sadness that I have right now. And it's hard to explain because on a personal level, I didn't know Stan Lee, and he didn't know me. But on a personal level, he meant a lot to me. Um, as all my friends know, and anybody that has watched any of my YouTube videos, or if you found this and went back and watched a couple of the other videos, you guys know I'm a huge X-Men fan. That is my favorite comic book. And Stan Lee had a big part in that. Jack Kirby as well. Some people forget to mention that, but I was a kid when Jack Kirby passed. I really didn't. I didn't have an appreciation for the art and stuff that he done. It was only as I got older that I was able to do that. But Stan Lee was always that voice. He was the voice of Marvel. He was the voice of comic books. Uh, you know, it's just so hard to explain. Like, you always knew who Stan Lee was. If you didn't know anybody else in the comic book industry, you learned about Stan Lee really quick because, like I said, he was that voice. Uh, every time I read narration boxes, that's the voice that went through my head. It didn't matter who wrote them, what comic book it was. When it's a Marvel comic book, it's always Stan Lee reading those narrations because that's what he did best. He was the voice of Marvel. He was the voice. I don't know what to say, guys. I don't normally get this way over anybody that's a celebrity or anything, but Stan Lee just really meant a lot to us, and he gave us so much, and so much is built off of what he and Kirby and all those guys did. They built a legacy that continues to thrive today. Just if you only look at Marvel Comics, you see the impact that those guys' works had, and Stan Lee continuously promoted that. Um, People who didn't even read comic books and they went to the movies, they knew who Stan Lee was, and they got excited to see him in every single movie that he appeared in. And it's just sad that we're not going to get that anymore. Um, they may put him in like an Easter egg of him somewhere, but it won't be the same thing. Like Stan Lee was just genuinely witty and funny guy, and today, we that voice is gone. He lives on in our hearts and in the work that he did and the work that he inspired and the work that he inspires going forward. His legacy is huge, but it's just it's just really sad that Stan's gone. And I'm so thankful that I got to meet him. Um, it was something that I always wanted to do, and luckily I got back into comics, in time to do that, and I got my X-Men #1, the 1991 series. I have that autographed by him, and it's not graded or anything. It probably will never be graded. I'm just so glad to have it. I wish that I would have been able to get it personalized, but the handlers, they really didn't let you do that because I would have loved to have, two Chris from Stan Lee. But I'm glad I got that comic. I got a couple other Stan Lees that I picked up throughout the years, but nothing means the same as one that's signed by him, and I got to thank him in person, and he nodded at me. He didn't. He was tired. He was getting older. This was just a couple years ago, so Um, but one of the coolest things um, that I learned was I was at getting a book signed by Jim Steranko, and I was talking to his handler, and he was talking about the amount of money that Stanley charges, because at this time signatures had just went over $100, and he talked about he splits that with the people, the handlers that he has and stuff like that, but all the money that Stanley collects is his. He didn't keep it. It all went to like a Children's Miracle Hospital in New York City. Um, and I just thought that was really cool. It's not something that he publicized. It wasn't anybody else's business what he done with it. But the fact that that he continued to give back was, I think, is pretty awesome. But I felt like, since you know I do comics, I don't really do the YouTube videos as much as I wish I did, but I just feel like I need to say that. I need to let Stan know how much I appreciate him, how much I'm so thankful for what he did for this community, for everybody in fandom. He was such an outspoken guy. It didn't matter if it was a DC comic, a Marvel comic. Stan Lee just wanted comics to be good, and that's what he did. And we're gonna miss you, Stan. But anyway, this is That Comic Guy Chris, reminding you guys, keep on collecting.